The scammer is no different from one who peeps at people. Good morning, bonjour, subah al khair, kwalafia, ekaro, ansuma, dasba, mimamachi. Welcome to a fresh episode. We continue from our last story. The last sentence was, the last sentence was, he naturally got very disappointed in me and more or less re- neglected me, and more or less neglected me. That was my father or my dad, if you like. Okay, we continue. I got a job in Yendi Secondary School as a laboratory assistant. One Mr. Tevio from Navrongo was the headmaster at the time. At the time, the following year, I got admission into the School of Medical Laboratory Technology, Kolebu, Accra. I had been working on it while in Yendi. It was quite easy for me and others who had passed through the advanced. It was quite easy for me and others who had passed through the advanced level examination. In fact, it was meant for O-level students. Okay, but we had done even A-level, so it was not difficult. It was not difficult for us. The entry requirements was just ordinary level exam. Okay, there was a break here, and I continued again 23rd of March 06, I suppose. Viewers can look at it, so you can see there has been problems. I continue from this date. Okay. Oh, March. I had every entry. I had I had easy entry into the school. I had easy entry into the school. One Mr. Texon, a technologist, a technologist tutor, British trained, was on the panel of interviewers, particularly understood, Mr. Texon, particularly understood me, particularly understood my plight very much. During one of the holidays, yes, during one of the holidays, I went to the north and to Yendi, proceeded to Yendi Secondary School. There was some money I had to collect, and there was an incident which I should not forget. I went to the bazaar at the time, one Mr. Hamza, that was the name of the bazaar. He directed me to Mr. Tevio, that was the headmaster. The headmaster scolded me in a manner that would get any young man of my age upset. This he did over several minutes. I went back to Mr. Hamza and he said there was nothing he could do about it. Well, he was the headmaster. He had to give an instruction to Hamza Lebeza to pay me. I think these days we call them accountants. Mm. I had wasted transport money from Nyankpala to Yendi. Full stop. Without any choice, I left the school and walked towards Yendi town. That was to take a car. Mm. I was to go to the lorry station and board a lorry to Tamale. I already said we didn't have buses in those days. So lorry, wooden lorries. Mm. To board a lorry to Tamale. However, just before I got into town proper, a rider on a bicycle stopped by me and told me the headmaster had asked him to call me, the one who had refused to pay me and scolded me strongly over minutes. And then he returned. I walked back. I walked back to the school, and the bursar called me into his office. He said, "My money." He paid my money to me, but not before telling me the headmaster. But not before telling me the headmaster's fears. He believed once I was no more an employee of the school and had gained admission into a tertiary institution, I would respond rudely to him. Hmm, what a test. What a test. He thought I would flare up and say, "Oh, take your money. I'm fed up. I'm no more. I have nothing to do with you. Why do you worry me?" He thought he was expecting such a reaction from me. He has seen that before. He has seen that before. Some people did it to him before. See, he has seen that before. But since I kept quiet and comported myself, he, Mr. Tevu, had asked him to pay me. I got my money and thanked him. I proceeded to I proceeded to thank the head master, and off I left for Tamale, a better person. So you see how people can behave, just testing me. It was annoying me just to test me. So when we say God tests people, you don't understand. This is even a human being, not God. Hmm? Okay. Paragraph. Life was not easy at the School of Medical Laboratory Technology. First years were housed in what appeared to be an old ward, mm, into brackets room. So where we were was like a ward. It was into brackets room. It was near the mortuary and close to the hospital incinerator. We called the place Tropics, in contrast to the residents of the second and third year students, which we called Temperates. We're making use of our geographical words, tropics and Temperates. Mm. Okay. This was a story building at about the at about the opposite end of the hospital, far from the smell of incinerated material. At the end of the first year, we were to move to Temperates as the third year students had to go. Unfortunately, all my mates got keys to their rooms except me. A final year student called Otu told O. A final year student called O had refused to leave, claiming he hadn't got a place yet. He hadn't got a place yet to move to. Days ran into weeks, and fresh year students joined me at the tropics. I had made several reports to the authorities. They had talked to Old Owu, and yet he wouldn't budge. My frustration turned into extreme anger. One day, I packed my things to the veranda, in front of Owu's room. As usual, he was nowhere to be found. Furious, I furious, as usual, he was nowhere to be found. Furious, usual aimed. I aimed. I aimed where the lock was. I aimed where the lock was. on the door. I aimed where the lock was on the door. One heavy kick with the sole of my foot, and the door was opened. I, I conveyed my belongings in, inside. When Owu arrived, he headed straight to the authorities. He was asked, "What do you want us to do?" He was asking, "What do you want us to do? You have left Sule alone, waiting for weeks, and now he is fed up." That was when he got his things out of the room. I passed my final year exam in December 1980. Life was very difficult at the time, and yet scholarships had stopped coming for us to do the technologies or into brackets diploma course in Britain. I think those days we used to call it fellows, if I'm not mistaken. There was no such scholarship anywhere in Ghana at the time. The common practice was for us to go to Nigeria to enjoy oil wealth there. Nigeria and Ghana were like brothers. When we are hot, we go there. When they are hot, they come to us. No matter uh, how much we fight each other. Mm? We are the only two West African speaking countries there around. Mm? Uh, I therefore did only 6 months in Tamale General Hospital, now teaching hospital, where I was posted. But buying a bucket wasn't easy. Going to Nigeria was going to Nigeria was a matter of secrecy. Nobody informed people. You just get up before they realize, oh, you are crossing the border to Nigeria. So it was a matter of secrecy. Uh, a boy from Nyangbala, Budali Mahama, had taken the lead 2 years earlier. Budali attended the School of Medical Laboratory 2 years that is in 1976, after his O-level exam. In fact, that contacted it was he I contacted right in Yankpala to get me the forms from the school. So I get enrolled also. So I get enrolled also, since my A-level exams weren't so good. He failed to do so. Then, following year, I got them and so got admission in 1978. Even though we come from the same village, Budali never informed me he was going to Nigeria. Like I said, it was a matter of secrecy. So it was not surprising. Yes, I finally got to Nigeria and Idrisu was my host. He was a year ahead of me in Kolebu, and we became good friends. I got employed where he was, and we slept in the same rented room nearby. Life was exciting in Nigeria at the time. One could afford to eat a chicken a day if one desired. There were so many nationals from all parts of the world, and I made many friends. I remember a lady, Diane Caswell, who came to work as a nurse in the clinic. Later, as in the clinic, later hospital. Yes, it was clinic, then it was turned into hospital. The name was Teju Clinic, number 4, Ilupeju Bypass. Ilupeju. Those in Lagos will know it. I don't know if it's still there. The laboratory was actually originally designed as a garage under a one-story building. Diane was brought downstairs. Diane was brought downstairs into the laboratory by two other lady nurses for introduction. And that was where we met. So when he was brought down to be introduced there, when he was taken around the hospital, so this is the lab, this is X-ray. He came to my lab. So it was us. Sorry, in the laboratory by two other. No, let me go back a bit. Diane was brought downstairs into the laboratory by two other lady nurses for introduction, and that was where we met. As soon as the three of them returned, as soon as the three of them returned upstairs, that's Diane and the two other ladies. When they returned, as soon as they returned upstairs, I was upstairs. Diane alone sneaks back into the laboratory and engaged me in a conversation. Life is funny. So the uncle, she was brought to the lab, and when she came, she saw me. Oh, they said she go. Yes, she agreed. She went back. As soon as she went back, oh, with the speed of light, she came back to me in the lab to engage me in a conversation. Well, that's how love works. And it became a regular thing several times a day with the nurses, with the nurse ask, and with the nurses, and the nurse asked whether we knew each other before. Or let me say, the nurses asked whether we knew each other before, or a nurse. Let me say, until a nurse asked whether we knew each other already, myself and Diane, because it was just on the spot, abruptly, once like that. When I told Diane this, she said, "Tell them yes, we knew each other before." So tell them yes, we knew each other before. Okay. Oh, Diane, she loved looking at me. Yes, Diane Kiswell. She would purposely make me laugh. Then she would then she would stare at me. She said she loved me very much when I laughed. Yes, Diane Kiswell. I remember when we were together, if I close my mouth, then I would laugh louder and louder and say, "Oh, I'd love to see you laugh." Oh, Diane Kiswell. Okay. Then I laughed. But unfortunately, I was still childish by then. Yes, I was a bit childish. I wasn't serious about her. She had a boyfriend working across. Yes, she had a boyfriend working across the street, whose name I can't quite remember now. Yes, it was a Yoruba man. That was a boyfriend. And the young wasn't hiding it from me. I mean, I think that was part of her honesty. And that was what discouraged me from her. You have a boyfriend, go to her, sleep with her, come and then talk. I just said, no, is it worth it? But incidentally, I think that was supposed to be my wife. Her plainness notwithstanding. A man much older and experienced than I was, and they used to sleep together. She used to bore me with talk about him. Mm. It, it marred our relationship a bit. I probably was a bit jealous about that. However, to be honest with myself, I didn't really admire her. Mm. I think because of that. Uh, she did not attract me as I did her. Life would have been so fine for me in Nigeria. My aim was to go abroad to study. Okay, pardon me. First of all, I think it was because of her friendship with the Nigerian that discouraged me totally. Then I started seeing her in another way. Okay. Uh, this didn't this didn't materialize as an unfortunate incident happened. Okay, let's pause there. I'll talk about Diane now. I think I've left her letter somewhere. She loved me very much. Uh, the thing is, before I left for Nigeria, it's a foreign country. We've never been there. I had never been there, and I wanted to move. I had to get some prophecy about my going there, whether it was safe or not. People used to die in Nigeria a lot, so I went to see somebody to prophesy on my behalf. The man was a blind man. He was called Afaidi, totally blind. I say in those days we didn't have fake prophets like that. Seers, because he was a somebody blind, and you go, he would tell you about you. If I should go to Nigeria and come back, fine. If I don't come back, then it's my making. When I went to Afaidi, he told me, where you are going to meet your wife there. Yes. And when you meet her, you should recognize her. Everything about her is white. She's going to dress all in white. I left. When I left, I didn't know. When the young came to me, I had forgotten about Afaidi's prediction. But then when she was brought to the lab, she was in white. White, I don't know what the nurses call the cap, the little cap they put on her. It was white, pardon me. Then the dress was white, the pant was white, the shoes were white, the socks was white. She herself was white. And that was precisely what Afaidi told me. When you meet her, everything about her is going to be white. I can't remember if she specifically told me if she was white or not. No, I don't think so. But she said everything about her would be white, would be white. When she came, I had forgotten about that. And in fact, if I had remembered that I would have stuck to her, whether she had a boyfriend or not. I would have waited for her to. After all, when I accept her, she might leave the boy or the man. He was older than me. But it got out of my mind altogether. It was years later that I said, this man told me I would meet my wife and she's going to be white. Everything about her will be white. And the young came and I wasn't serious with her. You understand me? Because normally you don't get nice things like that. There is some little bit of negativity about nice things. Even good, you get it from soil. I didn't remember at all. I think I should have stuck to her. Or I shouldn't have bothered whatever she did. Okay, uh, I will show you her letter after she left. I forgot to present it to bring it now. I think I've left it somewhere. I'll read the answer letter to you. And I wish she's around. She's still living to see it. And if we can connect, I'll love her like she loved me now. Okay. Uh, let me see. Okay, let me take another paragraph or two. This didn't materialize as an unfortunate incident happened. The federal government had instituted an alliance compliance order. This order affected this order affected those without passports or living in the country illegally. The government was right. Ghana did it somewhere about 1969. Yes, that was when Buja was in power. And it turned the lives of Nigerians in particular upside down. And many died actually. Now, at the time, there were too many Ghanaians in Nigeria. We were too many. Even people were taken there in wheelchairs to, to enjoy oil money. They included professionals like me, unemployed, prostitutes, the old, and even the disabled were helped into the country by relations. This became a problem for Nigerians. Predictably, my life was turned upside down. I had earlier tried for 2 years in vain to get a passport back in Ghana. Ordinary passport. Then that was when the uncles were to me, passport, he just goes in the one day. She sits at the office. She goes there one day and her passport is ready. When I complained that I don't have passport. You see, even in those days. Okay. It was not easy at the time. Even today, it's not easy to get passport in Ghana. Yes, yes. When we threw away the colonialists, this is what happened. Everything went haywire. Everything went bad. Here, I'll praise them. No, I won't mince words about it. I praise the colonialists like my dad praised them. Nkrumah said we could manage our own affairs. Yes, we could. He alone had that brain and that ability to do it. But when he was overtrained, what happened? Everything went bad. Incidentally, it's the same CIA Scotland Yard that masterminded his being thrown out. Okay. It was not easy at the time. The order came into effect in January or February 1983, and we were given a short notice to leave. What should I do? Conditions back in Ghana at the time were too harsh. That was Rollins' time. Everything was bad. It was evil in the country. Evil left, evil right, evil up, evil down. Hmm? Evil front, evil back. Hmm? Uh, a Yoruba friend of mine, Felix Owasunweye, advised me to go to France since I could speak a little French. He helped me get a Nigerian passport and visa. A plane ticket was no problem at the time since I had the money to buy it. Everything was so cheap in Nigeria. I quickly did that, and I was to live with another friend in Felix's house called Femi. As native, I was sorry, as naive as I was, I boarded the plane, Lufthansa, Lufthansa, Lufthansa Airlines. I believe it's still working. And we finally got to Paris, Charles de Gaulle's airport. That was the last time I saw Femi. Apparently, was the plan was to abandon me at the airport so I could find my own way. I didn't do that. As soon as we alighted at the airport, I looked around where is Femi. Oh, Otilo is going to let me there. You are not small boy. Manage your own affairs. He was going up and down always, like France is his country. He has to live in Europe by all means, at all costs. Mm. Okay. I engage, so I inquired from place to place at the airport, or rather counter to counter. At one counter, nobody cared about me. A black lady behind me was rather attended to. She saw I was angry and complaining. She turned round to ask me my problem. I told her, and she sympathized with me. Oh, Radia Fry Jagoni, if you are listening, let's connect. Or at least your daughter Mia may be around, may be listening or viewing. She should be in her 50s now. She was a very kind lady. Okay. Radia Fry, as she was called, later took me to her apartment. She had a boyfriend at the time and asked me to lodge in a bed and breakfast hotel since I had the money for that. After about a couple of days, he, he reasoned I could get short of money. She explained to the boyfriend, and I joined them. Yes, the boyfriend was also kind, but the boyfriend was French. I think he was called Alice also. And both of them were nice to me. May God bless them wherever they are. I had a separate bedroom. Radia was, I think I've gone beyond the paragraph that I wanted to. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Maybe we'll come to another paragraph. Uh, Radia was a brave lady because I saw that people generally shunned the company of strangers, or let me say blacks. It was winter time, and I stayed for about 3 weeks. I tried several times to acquire a Ghanaian passport at the Ghana embassy in Paris. I did not succeed due to sheer tribalism. I was from northern Ghana, and the people I met there were all sadness, speaking Twi, and I couldn't speak Twi by then. If I could speak Twi, they would have helped me to get a Ghanaian passport because it would have been very, very, very easy there. I came from northern Ghana, and I could not speak Twi. Radia and Boy drove me on the second occasion. Radia and Boy drove, and the boyfriend drove me there on a second occasion. On the first occasion, I met so many Ghanaians, probably hundreds of I can't speaking, all speaking, all seeking help. Two officials, two officials there, Graham and Besunkwi, who seemed who seemed to a more senior official. Graham was one, and Besunkwi was a more senior official. Gave me a date to come back. That was when I went there with Radia and boyfriend Alex. Listen to a comment made by a fat Ghanaian woman. Ɛne koraa ɔne Broni ɛna baeɛ and say even today he and a white man have come. I said what? Meaning even today he came with a white man. What I noticed was that they selected times for me to meet, to meet, for me not to meet many Ghanaians. So when first time I met many of them seeking help, but now they gave me times that I would come when all Ghanaians had come and gotten help and left. Oh, mankind. Mm. So that's a chance for me not to meet many Ghanaians there. I was interviewed to a certain to ascertain my identity as a Ghanaian before I could be helped. Even though they knew very well that I was Ghanaian, they had to call me to ask questions whether I was a Ghanaian. It was deliberate. Mm. When finally there was no doubt about that, this is what Busunchi said when everybody was going back to Ghana. Why did you choose to come here instead? As if France was his country, as if Paris was his country. Look at the sarcastic question he asked me. If they are deporting people from Nigeria and everybody is going back to Ghana, why do I choose to come here? And he knew very well that people were dying in the seas, on the roads, those who were returning from Nigeria. He knew it very well. It was there in the news. Ghanaians suffered a lot. So the advice was that I should go to Britain, France first. And this is a question he asked me when everybody is returning to Ghana. Why do you choose to come to Paris? And he was I don't know where he is now. Is Paris his own country? Is Paris his own city? Or is Paris in his country? Chose to come here instead. This was somebody who undoubtedly, what did I write here? And who undoubtedly saw the plight of Ghanaian travelers back to Ghana. Many lost their money and personal belongings. Some their lives. Many lost their money and personal belongings. Some their lives. Graham was a Ghanaian. Graham, also a Ghanaian, was a bit sympathetic, but had apparently no power to help me. Finally, Bosunchi told me to go to Bonn, the then capital of Germany. Why he didn't tell me, sorry, why he didn't tell me that from the onset, but rather wasted my time, he alone can tell. So he was just unwilling to help me. You can go to hell. We don't know you. You're from Northern Ghana, we're from South. So you can go to hell. Hmm? He alone can tell. So let's pause here and then we can continue. We'll continue in our next video. So thank you very much. Bye bye. May God bless you all for listening.